Buddy.
Well,
What?
you were muted.
Oh. All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. We are live on Twitch. If you aren't, follow us on Twitch and remember to subscribe to Saints Happy Hour wherever you get your podcast. Smash that like button on YouTube. Become an annual patron at patreon.com/Saints Happy Hour and get 2 months for free. We have a limited Boys Are Back cup as a gift to any new annual patrons at any level. And a reminder, we are doing the MVP contest for people who watch or donate or subscribe during the live stream. Anyone who donates any amount during the show each week gets entered into a drawing at the end of the season for a Saints Happy Hour t-shirt and a Smoke Monday t-shirt. The person who donates the most each week gets entered into our drawing to win 2 Saints game tickets for the 2023 season. And the person who donates the most each week gets to have a 30-second video of themselves giving their Saints hot take played the following week. Thomas, do we have any videos this week?
Yeah, we do have a video from Budget, and already, guys, a lot of love. Lady Saint subscribed with Prime, Real Uncle Mitty
Nice.
with Tier 1 sub, and Cook Duke bringing the heat and giving away 5 Tier 1 gift subs.
Wow. Thank you. All the best. Andrew, we've said it a bunch, but like this season for the Saints, it hasn't been what we wanted. And we'll get to that in a minute, even though they won against Philadelphia. But we just appreciate it. Like the diehards are sticking with us and we're still growing, and we appreciate you guys supporting us, and it's allowing us to do fun stuff. And we got the Saints off season is going to be crazy. And because of you guys' support, we're going to be covering it all. So
hopefully no one's mad at us for doing this show right on the heels of the Hamlin stuff. But it's the patrons. Like, look, people count on us to do the show, and hopefully we're far enough removed from that. But yeah, I am a little rattled. I think we all are. I mean,
listen. We've never seen this.
No.
And I don't envy an entire ESPN crew that they were thinking they were doing the biggest AFC game of the year, and now they're doing a news story on a player fighting for his life. Like you can't. I mean, you can't. That's
no, and I mean, it really. I mean, the NFL. Thank God they made the right call to suspend the game, and I'm not gonna sit here and speculate or throw shade at people or even like give clout to people that don't deserve it right now because they're saying really dumb things on Twitter. But like at the end of the day, like making it rain. This guy's life is hanging in the balance, maybe, and really, really scary situation. So, really and truly, like you just think about that guy and just hope that Hamlin's going to be okay, and pray for his family and pray for him, and that's it. Hope he pulls through.
Yeah, we all do. And listen, I don't know how you transition from that to fun Saints talk, but the Saints, the game in Philadelphia, Andrew, when you think about it, it was pretty Saintsy. The Saints deliver their best performance of the year, and Carolina blows a double-digit lead 2 separate times. Minnesota gets their head kicked in, and the Saints are eliminated. It was pretty
Saintsy, yeah.
It was pretty Saintsy, and to be honest, I wasn't mad. I was just like, that's how it goes. Yep, that's how it goes.
Well, I watched you guys do the podcast last week, and I have to say that was one of the worst podcasts we've ever done. Hopefully,
we showed up. We showed up.
I'm here. So Dave is not here, and real quick, I guess we'll talk about Tulane. He was at the game and all that. I'm sure you'll bring that up, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, no. As far as the Saints game's concerned, man, this was a strange one. It was strange to see like the Saints up 13-0, and it feel like they were just absolutely dragging the Eagles.
Them.
And look, I was frustrated they didn't go for it on 4th down. We talked about that a little bit on a podcast we did today, but they hit the long pass to Shaheed, and they're down at the 2, and then they make a decision to kick a field goal. They go up 13-0. But even after that, they were moving the ball, and before Andy Dalton's pick, it looked like they were gonna go up 16 or 20-0. Then he throws that pick, and like the game completely flipped on its head.
Well, the thing is,
Saints offense went kaput.
We got to talk about the opening drive. It was basically Saints porn. It was 15 plays. Thomas is showing it now. He showed it, but 15 plays, 9 minutes long. Andrew,
It was the best drive of the season.
I think it's important to talk about one because it was just awesome. It was everything you want. It was Andy Dalton 6 for 6, 4 Taysom runs. They went forward on 4th. Taysom converts the touchdown. Like I think it's instructive.
A fullback first down.
Yeah, like it was just tremendous, all of it. And the thing is that I thought about is like, this is what the Saints, I think, wanted to be, right? The whole year, like a power run. We're going to power run. We're going to smash your face. We're going to play great defense and we're going to win the game. But I also think it's instructive because I really think like whatever iteration Dennis Allen attempts to be on offense in 2023, he's going to try to get to that opening drive. Like in his heart of hearts, that's what Dennis Allen wants his offense to be, I think.
Yeah, well, sure. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's weird. It's weird. Like I'll be honest, like I didn't expect the Saints to maul the Eagles like this. We talked all week about how this was a big mismatch and how the Eagles defensive line was going to crush the Saints. And we said that before we knew Ramczyk was going to be out.
That's right.
And it just took a while to get there. I mean, eventually 7 sacks. The Eagles defense, and especially in the second half, they really did own the Saints.
Well, I want to say this, because how do we judge Pete Carmichael's day? Because I really felt like at the beginning of the game, mostly through the first half, until Dalton threw the pick, like Philadelphia, for whatever reason, was playing zone. And Andy Dalton was sitting back there going, "Oh, you're playing zone. I'm gonna hit Shaheed. I'm gonna hit Olave. I'm gonna hit Juwan Johnson." Like he was picking them apart, and then he throws the pick, and Philadelphia's like, "Oh yeah, we have the best pass rush in the NFL in the last 30 years, and they're missing their right tackle. Let's just play man and see if their receivers that their good ones aren't even drafted. Let's see if they can get open." And they couldn't. Yeah. So, like, how do you judge Pete Carmichael? Like, I felt like he coached the pants off the Eagles defensive coordinator for the first half.
Yeah. And look, I mean, in the second half, once they were down up 20-10, I feel like Pete Carmichael finally listened to everyone that was saying, just run the ball at Taysom. And Adam Troutman, after the game, he goes, "Yeah, we ran the same play 4 times in a row. I can't believe they couldn't stop it. Like we literally ran the same play out of the same formation, and like it worked." Well, but I will say running the clock out at that point was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I'll give the offense a shout out for that. But yeah, man, the second half was bad, and we know that. I mean, the Eagles, like you said, probably the best pass rush that we've seen in 25 years in the league. And all they have to do is rush with 4, and so that makes it a lot easier to cover because they can drop 7 in coverage all the time because they know they can get to the quarterback with 4, and it makes life a lot easier as a defense.
They don't. The thing is with the Eagles, though, you don't want to say they're bad, but like I think their defensive coordinator, like I think he gets a little like really conservative and spoiled because he's like, I can get there with 4, which is fine. But like, my man, if they play in a playoff game and they do that zone stuff when they play a Dak Prescott, a Kirk Cousins,
even carve him up.
He'll call Brady. Play that against Brady. Say whatever you want about the Bucs. Like Tom Brady will carve you up, but that's not our problem. That's the Eagles' problem. We don't give a damn about them. And by the way, the Eagles fans were so mad. Like they didn't clinch home field. They thought they were going to get a potential top 5 pick from the Saints. Now they might only be getting, if the Saints win and things fall right, the Eagles might only get the 15th pick. Eagles fans were just besides themselves with rage yesterday. It was
Tiger Saint said that Minshew needed some blue shoe.
We'll get to Minshew in a second, but most importantly, Andrew, yesterday, the greatest parental day of your entire life, was it?
Well, let's see. I mean, my son, you know, he's done some good things in sports. Cullen, my actual 12-year-old son, like he's done some good things in his life in sports. You know, he's won a tennis tournament. He's won a basketball tournament before. He actually just won his flag football title this year. So he's had some big sporting moments. He gets good grades. Proud of my daughter. She does a good job. She's the artsy one in the family. But I don't know. Like Rashid Shaheed, Carl Granderson. I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite, Ralph. It's hard to pick a favorite child. You love them all. You really do.
Thing is, with Shaheed is every time I watch him, like, I'm mad that you won the UDFA competition again. That's my first thought. But my second thought...
you can't even say I won. Like, dude, Ralph, are you kidding me? Like, this is like the 16-0 Patriots.
It is.
It's like winning the AFC East.
It is. But the second thing...
This was over in week 8.
The second thing that I think... I look at him and I'm like, how in the hell did 32 NFL teams, including the Saints, be like, man, we're not picking him. We're not picking that dude. No. Like, and the thing is, he played at a small school, but he dominated. Like, how can you not, like, the draft is such a crapshoot. Like, these teams,
all I can say is that I'm a dynasty.
You are a dynasty.
This is now the third time that I've won the UDFA competition. I believe Dave won it once, maybe with Malcolm Roach.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah. So I'm 3 for 4, and you guys keep giving me the last pick, and it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter.
Andrew, let's be honest. Ralph saved you by picking Lewis Kidd. You wanted to pick him probably.
I thought I was being sneaky, and I was thieving Andrew's pick, but I got a lump of coal. Thomas, what's the donation update so far? You gave it at the top. Give it again.
We got a new donation from Big JMC, who subscribed with Twitch Prime, but Cook Duke is still in the lead. Soundly, guys.
Yes, thank you, Cook Duke.
Step it up.
Are we getting a video from Budrich, or is that later?
Later from Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. Andrew, I want to say this to people. I woke up Sunday morning, and I had like 3 DMs from us, 2 Saints people and an Eagles person. I had people tweeting me, if Gardner Minshew was the quarterback of Carolina, they'd be running away with the South. Like, thank you, Dennis Allen and the Saints, for reminding America that Gardner Minshew is Gardner Minshew and he's trash. The Saints, Dennis Allen, for the second time, just basically went up to Gardner Minshew and slapped the sticker on his forehead that said backup quarterback for life.
He has 16 points in 2 starts against the Saints.
Yes.
So Dennis Allen, he averages 8 points a game against Dennis Allen defenses. Look, I mean, that's the book on Minshew is you keep him in the pocket, you force him to be a pocket passer, and he can't beat you consistently. And Dennis Allen has cracked the code, and he's figured that out. And I just feel like whenever the Saints play Minshew, he sucks.
Yeah, and the thing is, your sources, you were like, they got good vibes on Sunday morning. You're like, my sources have good vibes. They feel great about it.
They love that matchup. Yeah,
they're like, they love the matchup. They think Minshew is trash, and I was like, we'll see. And dude, the Saints from play 1, like Philadelphia, they didn't have a first down until the last minute of the first half.
Tell everybody, when's the last time I told you that?
The Raiders game.
Great vibes going into the
Raiders. And I was like, they're high. Like,
so now I have like 2 data points, right? When I get like
the vibes, the vibes.
We're feeling real good about this game plan, and like great week of practice. We're feeling really good about this matchup. When I get that text, I'm like, okay, now I'm paying attention. The ears perk up a little bit.
Yeah, they felt good about it, and it was.
That's 2 now. And look, undefeated in 2023.
Yeah,
just saying.
Listen. I mean,
things are looking up, man. Look, this year is off to an epic start. If you're a Louisiana, I mean, you got the Saints that just beat the Eagles. LSU just destroyed Purdue 63-7. I mean, I tweeted this earlier. I feel like the lower level Louisiana teams that LSU plays put up a better resistance
fight.
than
I feel like
did.
Southern put up a better fight than Purdue. Like
then Tulane, my God, Tulane. I mean that win in the Cotton Bowl.
I mean, congratulations. Dave was blackout
Tulane,
drunk
if they don't
in
win
Dallas.
9 games, they should run roughshod through that conference.
Yeah, and I got to say this about Dave. Good business owner, because he was at the game. He was at the Cotton Bowl. And, man, within seconds of Tulane winning that game, boom, he tweets out
the Cotton Bowl champion.
The Cotton Bowl champion shirts. Like, he had that locked and loaded. He probably had that scheduled. So that it would hit, and all he had to do was unschedule it if they lost.
He had that sucker in draft, man.
He had it in the chamber.
You don't get Dave. When it comes to T-shirts, Dave doesn't get ready. He stays ready. All right.
But you should support Dave.
That's right.
His Twitter is @Tulane Shop.
I'm gonna buy a hat.
Yeah, they've got Cotton Bowl swag and
Tulane Cotton Bowl hat.
This is like Dave's professional Super Bowl.
I saw on Twitter that it was the first time in 1,600 college games that a team was losing by 15 in the final 4 minutes and won. And here's just some crazy stats on Tulane. They had the ball for 20 minutes. They scored 46 points. They had over 500 yards of offense. Even more crazy than that, their quarterback completed 7 passes.
Yeah.
7.
I feel like every time, and it was like before that final drive, it was like 4.
Yeah.
But it was nuts. I mean, for the kick returner, which I mean that changed the game, where it hits him, he drops it, and it goes out of bounds at the 1 yard line. With Tulane's down 8 at that point. Yeah, and I mean it took the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands because it's like
that's right.
Now they're running, they get a safety. You're like, oh wow, they're down 6. A touchdown wins it now. They go down, they get a touchdown with 9 seconds left. There's nothing Caleb Williams can do at that point. So. It's crazy how the game transpired that way, and it kind of took the ball out of his hands.
It did. And final thing on that, you know me, I'm incredibly anti-tanking. I hate tanking. I don't believe in it. It's immoral. But I watch Caleb Williams.
You're a pacifist.
I'm a pacifist. I watch Caleb Williams in that game, Andrew.
You're starting to feel like tank.
I will reevaluate my tanking position the middle of next year. If the Saints are really bad, I might be pro-tanking for Caleb Williams. He made a throw. He was running to his left on the dead run and did a 3/4 inch, and it was just a seed to the USC guy. I was like, he's ridiculous.
He's ridiculous. Well,
Tulane still won. He threw for 560 yards, and Tulane still won.
Nikolai says in the chat that he's slowly coming on board the car train. By the way, Nikolai, I have to say real quick, Ralph's drinking your tears of a falcon. I'm doing sober January because I drank for every night for 2 weeks straight, and my body hates me. So
I'm drinking tears of a falcon until they lose. So Nikolai, if they win against Carolina, you got to brew some more. So we can just start the drinking again.
I was just going to tell Nikolai, I had a New Year's Eve party, obviously on New Year's Eve, and a bunch of friends came over, and none of them are Saints fans, but they all tried Tear of a Falcon, and they all thought it was delicious. I gave everybody a little pour so they could try it, and they all loved it. So it was a big hit at my party. Just want to let you know that. But he says he's slowly coming around on Carr. I got to say, I did not have on my bingo card. First of all, I forgot that Jared Stidham was still in the league because that dude was terrible at Auburn. Terrible. And I couldn't believe he's still in the NFL. And to watch him go out there and absolutely torch the 49ers defense, that was not a good look for
David Carr, Derek Carr.
Nice.
Daniel Carr. I mean,
nice.
Where's
my chime, Thomas?
Hey, here's the thing with Derek Carr. To me, he's all about tell me how much it costs, in picks and money. Because I just look at him and there's about a quarter of the league that needs a quarterback, and the Colts or the Redskins or the entire NFC South. There's a potential they will get really stupid for David Carr. And if the Saints got David Carr, I'd eventually get on board. But if they're the Saints just signed David Carr 4 years, $150 million, and they gave up a second round pick, I'd be But that's off. That's off.
I'm going to tell you guys. I mean, you probably aren't going to be happy to hear this, and maybe you'll choose not to believe me. But I think it's more likely than not that Andy Dalton ends up coming back.
Man. And
I think they should draft a guy in the first round. I mean, if they're going to roll with Andy, I'm fine with that. But I would want a first round quarterback to groom behind him. But I think that's more likely than not. I mean, they may flirt with some free agent quarterbacks just to see if there's something that makes sense for them. But they've already announced, by the way, that Andy is starting the final game, so Dalton will be the starter. And I mean, I can't say this more emphatically for those of you that choose not to believe it or whatever, but Jameis Winston is done in New Orleans, and I'm making that prediction right now. I'm saying it on the show, and you can make fun of me in a few weeks if it doesn't happen, but he will be cut by the Saints. And this is it for him. He's done.
You can only we're getting into off-season stuff weirdly for this guy. And the Saints just had a great win. But
sorry.
But I want to say this: when Marshawn Lattimore, when he makes that pick six, which by the way, it was the first interception by a Saints corner in 2022. That's just bananas. But he makes the pick.
Yeah, because I guess Matthew has two, Sorensen and Mario Davis,
that's right.
4 non-corners.
So 4 9, but I just had to think, and we said it on the Grades podcast, but we can say it again here. I just had to think, Dennis Allen's got to be thinking, God damn it! If we have Lattimore, he'd have been really good to have against Cincinnati. He'd have been really good to have against Tampa the second time.
It's a weird injury. I know internally there was some frustration with Lattimore, feeling like maybe he could go before now, and that this would heal up quicker. And Lattimore even said I'm not 100%. He's it was a leap of faith to play with this thing, but I decided to go out there and do it. And why now versus before? I mean, he's been feeling better, I guess, but it's not 100%. So. I don't know. Lacerated kidney sounds serious. I've never really heard that injury before. I don't know how you can lacerate your kidney playing football, but he did it. And
on defense.
On defense, yeah. But he
so good. We knew
injury, but yeah, I mean, for him to be playing with that, especially if he's not 100%, it was a reminder of just how damn good he is. And look, credit to Dennis Allen and the Saints, because they have the number 2 pass defense in the NFL, and they've done most of that without him. And so sometimes when you play that well without a guy like Lattimore, you start to think things like, man, could we get a first round pick for him? Should we trade him away? And we had kind of done that dance a little bit on Discord talking about that. But
then you see yesterday, you're
and you see that, and it's kind of a reminder oh yeah, he's
he's awesome. But here's the thing. I want to get back to that, because we'll get to Dennis Allen, the discussion of him in a second. But the thing is with Dennis Allen, I think, is that people are so dug in. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to, before we get to Dennis Allen, I want to talk about Cam Jordan, because he's the all-time sack leader now for the Saints. And once again, Andrew, he's finishing the season on an absolute tear. The last couple of years, we've been maybe Cam Jordan's getting old.
He get COVID this week? Do we know for a fact that he didn't?
He get the good. But here's the thing. Cam Jordan, he knew Sunday was about the Saints' defensive line showing up, and he and his boys showed up, and he knew it was about the defense being awesome. Thomas, play that sound.
I'm a Fu Manchurian, and I'm stepping into 2023 with the beautiful Fu Manchu intact. It won't be here long. I'm over it. I'm just overly happy and excited to give the Lord praise for waking me up this morning, giving me breath well into 2023. All of, 16 and a half hours into 2023, and we had, 3 sacks today. That's one heck of a way to start off 2023. Don't know what tomorrow's going to hold, but January 1 was a good day. It was one of those games that eventually you're going to find. You're going to find you a quarterback that wants to escape through the B gaps and wants to, sort of, I wouldn't say hold the rock. I started wheeling and dealing in that second half. But just one of those things that all the games were working. They had an offensive lineman missing, and whatever that was, we were in sync. We knew going into this game it'd be our D-line versus their D-line, and their D-line had how many sacks? 6, 7. Our D-line had 5, 6. We're going tit for tat. I'm talking to Brandon Graham as we're switching out. I'm like, hey man, just know we're still coming. He's like, we're gonna get the deal done. Not with my D-line. and love that friendly banter. You talk about how stacked their D line is. They rush 5. I dream of that.
I mean, Cam's he's a treasure, and like Andrew, it's been like the last couple of years we've been like, is this time done? Maybe June 1st cut. Now it's like, no, he's gonna get a sack and he's gonna put Sam Darnold on the ground twice, and he's gonna get 10 sacks again.
This last year. Like, you look at his stats, and it's like before last game of the season, he's stuck at 5.5, and we're like, oh yeah, this time he's really declining, and now he's up to 8.5, and he might have double digits depending on how he goes against Carolina next week. So
right.
I feel like he did this last year where he kind of got on this tear late and ended up putting together a nice season. So Cam's still got it, man. And, look, he's at 115 sacks, 115 and a half, which puts him a half sack ahead of Ricky Jackson all time as the sack leader for the Saints. And I got to be honest, man, like I never thought that record would fall. And I'll call myself out. I always try to keep it real. I like to take my victory laps when I say something smart, so I have to call myself out when I say dumb things. But I remember we had a podcast, Ralph, and it was maybe after the first or second season with Cam Jordan. And, I said at the time, I'm like, yeah, this guy, he's never going to be a double-digit sack guy. I don't know if you remember this podcast, but I said that on the show. I was just like, he's workmanlike. He's great against the run, but he's kind of got a thick body. He's not that quick. He's not that agile. So, like I said, like, yeah, I think he's going to be a really solid player for a long time. And he's probably one of those guys that's going to be like a 6 to 8 sack guy a year. And he's not going to be one of those guys that gets 12 to 15. And what I didn't anticipate was that, like, if you look at his pictures from when he was in college, like how he was way more broad-shouldered, fatter in the face. Like, I mean, he was big and hulking, and he really leaned out. Like, his body composition changed a lot, and he made himself more agile. And
we joked on this podcast. I think it was Dave. He's like, Cam Jordan made himself bendy. Like
he turned himself bendy, and he managed to maintain that strength and ability to hold the edge. So he continued to be an excellent run defender, but on top of that, he developed an array of pass rushing moves and became like the greatest sack master in Saints history. So I really nailed that one.
Well, look, I mean, the defensive line was great, and I think one of the not necessarily in this podcast because we talked about it, but not as much as other things because you had the Jameis and Andy Dalton thing, you had fire Dennis Allen, you had all these things swirling around the Saints, and I think one of the things that maybe didn't get as much talking about as it should have was Davenport fell off a cliff, and we talked about Davenport falling off a cliff in a contract. You were like, he was the best player on the defense last year. He had 9 sacks. This year he has half a sack. But the thing that's happened, Andrew, is not only is he not playing well, like the Saints, maybe he's hurt, maybe whatever, like they're playing your UDFA son Granderson, and it's not in spot duty anymore. Like Granderson's the guy getting the majority of those snaps. And I just think it's a huge story that the Saints, their actions tell me they're done with Davenport, the guy we call Marcus Two Firsts. That like he's done. He's not going to be a Saint probably in 2023. I think it's a huge story.
Well, they have him. $8 million of his cap number has been deferred to next year, so he costs $8 million off the team. So I know this sounds weird, but I actually would extend him an offer. Now I would lowball him, and he's probably not going to like the offer, and he might go. Yeah. But you have a chance to keep him on the team at a cheaper price than you would off the team. So to me, that's the reason to explore it if he's willing to take your low ball offer. But, he may feel like he can still, just based on his freakish ability, find a pretty decent contract out there. But dude, at this point, like you have half a sack for the year. Like, I mean, I don't even know, like he might get a 1-year prove it deal for $5 million kind of thing.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's one thing if a team would look at, if he had like 5 sacks, teams would be like, man, we love that.
Oh yeah. He'd probably, yeah. But Ralph,
at a half a sack, that's bad.
But consider this, Ralph. The Saints are 5th in the NFL right now, number 5 with 46 sacks on the season. And I mean, as bad as this team has been rushing the passer at times this year, like they get 4 sacks against Carolina. And we're talking about a 50 sack season.
It's crazy.
Can you imagine?
No, and they don't even have
they don't have one double-digit sack guy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: Cam Jordan now he's up to 8.5, but like Caden Ellis is at 7. Granderson is now at 5.5. Onyemata quietly at 4 sacks, but like the Kentavious Street with 3, a bunch of guys with 2, but like Ellis and Granderson in particular. This second half of the season,
I need Ellis to calm the fuck down.
Really turned it down.
I need Ellis to calm down and not have a big game against Carolina, because he's right on that. Andrew, he's 2 sacks against Carolina from getting a ridiculous offer from a team, because teams pay for touchdowns and they pay for sacks. And you could say it's fluke, it's not consistent, whatever. I'm just telling you, teams in free agency pay for freaking sacks. And if Caden Ellis is at 8, 9, like that's bad, because then he gets out.
He's already at 7, so like,
yeah. Like I need Caden Ellis to calm down. Like have a good game against Carolina. I don't need him. I don't need Caden Ellis having some sort of Trey Hendrickson 4-sack season opener against Tampa type game to close out the year. I don't need it. But Andrew, you were talking about.
I would ask, is he already there with 7? Because he's only.
He probably is. He's probably at a 3-year, $21 million offer from some team that's going to be like, hey, Caden, come be our linebacker.
The Fujita deal.
Yeah, like from Cleveland or whatever. Like, I mean, the Saints gave AJ Klein 3 years, $15 million, and he barely played for Carolina. So, like, I mean, Caden Ellis, like the Saints. But here's the thing: like the Saints, like. The good thing with Mickey Loomis is he's always said, I cater to my coach. I do what my coach wants as the best of my ability. I think the Saints, like the Caden Ellis is a guy where Dennis Allen's going to be like, Mickey, I don't care. Get Caden Ellis freaking signed. Like, so we'll see. Speaking of Dennis Allen, Andrew, it's been a rough couple of weeks, but hashtag fire Dennis Allen, people. And my only point with the starting point for this discussion is, look, my playoff dreams are dead. I don't know whether I should blame Sam Darnold, Dennis Allen, or myself for refusing to give up hope. But here's the thing with Dennis Allen. We always give Sean Payton credit, when we would say, oh, he, no matter what happened with the offense, receivers, tight end, people getting hurt, him and Drew, they always figured that shit out, and they always made it happen on offense, and it was always top 10, and it was. Thing is with Dennis Allen, they had a ton of injuries on defense. They had guys like Marcus Davenport stink. They struggled at safety. They were having to sign Harris off the street and play him at corner. Like, they were a disaster at times with injuries. They couldn't tackle. But since the Baltimore game, Andrew, they have not allowed a team to score over 20 points. And I don't care who you're playing. You're playing NFL teams. When you limit teams to 20 points for 7 straight weeks, that's freaking impressive. And that's coaching from where it was the first month and a half of the year.
Yeah, look, I think Dennis Allen, I still think this season's a disappointment. So I think, look, I'm not singing his praises here, and he's got a lot of work to do to kind of prove that he can do this and be successful. But I think whereas, at one point in the season, we were kind of wondering, like, is this dude incompetent? Like, is he incapable of winning games?
Post Tampa, we were like, they're 4-9. Are the wheels going to come off?
Are the wheels going to come off to the point where, like, he might be one and done? And, look, I think no one's going to say that, like, a 3-game win streak against Desmond Ridder and, the crazy weather game against Deshaun Watson and then Gardner Minshew, like, no one's going to say, like, these are the greatest 3 wins ever. But, like, they have fixed a lot of their problems. The defense has been playing at a really high level. And it's been encouraging signs for me that, like, okay, maybe this guy isn't DOA. DA
He's not Nathaniel Hackett. He's not Matt Patricia. He's not Joe Judge.
Like, we'll see. Like, obviously, it's a big offseason. He's going to have to find a quarterback. But, like, I don't know. Like, if he gets off to a hot start next year, maybe he starts to convince me that maybe he can do this thing. But I remain, like, kind of cautiously pessimistic, I guess.
Cautiously.
I still kind of view DA as like he probably won't be the answer. Is kind of where I think this goes, but. I mean, I'm willing to keep an open mind, and I've seen enough the last few weeks to at least be impressed with how they're playing on that side.
I have hope. Look, I have hope for 2023. I have hope because I look at the defense. They've gone on a really good 2-month stretch. Andy Dalton, they got competence out of him at quarterback. Like maybe they can figure it out. They still got, like you say, they still got to get quarterback. And like we said at the top with the great drive they had in Philadelphia, like DA's got to figure out what he wants his offense to be. And if he moves, if they move on from Pete Carmichael and they decide, listen, we're gonna move on from Pete Carmichael, whoever he hires at offensive coordinator will decide his fate. Because here's the thing, you might hate Pete Carmichael, and I think Pete Carmichael's been okay. He's been not the best, not great. He's not great. But I've seen a lot of teams like New England. They have Matt Patricia. He's horrible. Like if the Saints go backwards at offensive coordinator, Dennis Allen is donezo. So it literally, instead of talking about should they fire Dennis Allen, will they? That discussion's not going to happen because Dennis Allen's going to be the coach in 2023. The discussion Saints Twitter I wish we would have more of is, what's he going to do at offensive coordinator? And what should he do? Because that's the thing, I think, along with quarterback, that's going to decide if he's going to survive into 2024.
Completely agree. Yeah. I mean, he has to nail, if they decide to move on from Pete Carmichael, and I think they should, I think they have to nail this OC hire. They have to nail it. And then at quarterback, they have to nail it. And I think that's the only path, in my estimation, that Dennis Allen can have success, because he's proven like he can be good on defense. And
I'll full honesty here is a safe space. I said to people, listen, if you fire Dennis Allen after 1 year, it doesn't mean no one will take the job, because Sean Payton took the job in 2006 when New Orleans was destroyed in Katrina. But to be fair, Sean Payton wanted the Green Bay job, and if Sean Payton hadn't taken the job, Ted Cottrell was going to take the job. But my point is, since Dennis Allen, there's a feeling that, yes, he's not going to get fired, and he's going to come back for 2023. But there is going to be a feeling around the league maybe that he's on thin ice with the Saints. Does that make hiring an offensive coordinator more difficult? Because I see it in college all the time, Andrew, these college coaches where they're like on super thin ice and they need an offensive coordinator, they need a defensive coordinator, and the people they want, they're like, nah, bro, I'm not doing it because you're about to get fired out of a cannon. I'm not going there. So does it make Dennis Allen, does it make him, if he wants to change from Pete Carmichael, does it make the hire more difficult because he's perceived to be on thin ice?
Well, I mean, it's all about opportunity. So, if there's a young hotshot out there and like this is the opportunity that they get, then, I mean, yeah, you might have to take a chance on a guy, is my point, as opposed, but
yeah.
Or you find a guy that has been doing it for a long time and he's just older. A lot of times you convince a guy to come back to your staff and, he's, I don't know. I don't know who that would be. I'd have to look at the names. Ralph, a quick update on DeMar Hamlin. Just some really good news. So I figured we'd share it real quick on this show. This is from his marketing rep, and a quick update on him that all his vitals are back to normal. And they've put him to sleep, and he's got a breathing tube down his throat. So they're currently running tests, and that's it. But at least for right now, obviously it's still very scary. He's still in a critical situation, and he's on a breathing tube, so he's not breathing on his own. But he's stable. So let's just pray and hope that this keeps going the way it's going, and that he can continue to improve. But at least right now, like it seems like he's sleeping, and he's back to normal in terms of his vital signs, which is really important.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So the last thing on Dennis Allen is
and David Chow, who I follow on Twitter. I've just kind of following this on Twitter. He's a guy at Pro Football Doc. He said, "I hope this is true. The vitals are key. because being intimated at this point is very normal. So he said if his vitals are normal, that's a really good sign. So
yeah, I mean, and listen, look, we give Goodell and the NFL a lot of crap for just being terrible and not caring about players sometimes, but
they don't.
And like the Tua thing, like he's got like 9,000 concussions, and they just handle it. But I will say, like the fact that during the game they have the best, like everything that could possibly save a person's life or save a player's life, they have it on the field. So, you know, they've really worked hard to have the best medical care, at least on the field. After concussions, they don't necessarily care, but that's great news. And listen, all these they had people on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, what if they cancel the game? What are they gonna do? How are they rescheduled? This is a critical playoff game, dude." COVID, they were canceling games left and right. They can play the game on Tuesday. Like, they didn't they play games on a Wednesday when they had COVID, Andrew? Like,
yeah.
Like
they can figure this out.
Yeah, they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, look, I mean, it took them a while. And at first, I think they were saying, like, all right, you got 5 minutes. You go back out there. So, I mean, they made the right call, but God, that was a bad
Show
look
goes on,
there.
right?
Yeah. But yeah, clearly the NFL is all about the money, and that's all they care about. And
it's like,
thankfully, someone talked sense into someone there. Because seriously, man, when you're in a situation like this, and hopefully, like, we can. Like, hopefully he's going to be okay. It sounds like he's in a good spot right now. So I just hope that continues to go that way. But, like, if this had gotten really sinister, man, and, like, imagine telling guys, like, yeah, you just watched this happen to your brother, and, like, you got 5 minutes, and you got to get back out there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know that the NFL could have ever recovered from that, man.
Yeah.
So they got the decision right, but it took them a while.
Yeah. I think
hey, I want to say this real quick. Tiger Saint, I've been ignoring you. Sorry, I was kind of looking at my Twitter, so I wasn't looking at the comments here. So sorry to ignore you. I'm sorry that I don't have the Houdat trucker cat hat that I was wearing when I gave my prediction.
My wife,
it's upstairs.
my wife will
my
pay
daughter's
good money
sleeping.
for
I gotta
that.
find it. Yeah.
My wife will pay good money for that. She said, "The Houdat cat trucker hat." It was amazing.
I mean, you know, it's funny. Like, I love football. I'm a huge NFL fan in general, and obviously you guys know I love the LSU as well. But I want, like, if it wasn't for the Saints, like, I wonder if I would be disenchanted enough with between the referee stuff and the player safety stuff, and just like, I wonder if I would still be, if I wasn't so just like, if I didn't adore the Saints, I don't know that I would still watch the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love the NFL, but if the Saints would ever like move out of New Orleans,
I'd be. If they had moved to San Antonio, I would have been out.
I think this would be a food and Andrew Senior. It'd be a food and Andrew Senior tennis podcast from here on out. But
and Tulane
football, right? 2023 Cotton Bowl champion Tulane football podcast. Before last thing on Dennis Allen is my thing with Dennis Allen is, like you said, I don't think he is going to win the Saints a Super Bowl. Like, he's not a Super Bowl winning coach. But people asked me on Twitter, do you think he can win the Super Bowl? And I said no. And they were like, well, you should fire him. I'm like, that's not how the world operates. And can Dennis Allen be a successful coach and not win a Super Bowl for the Saints? I'm unsure. And because I'm unsure, I'm not firing him after a year. Now, eventually, like, if he gets fired in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and doesn't win a Super Bowl, the fired Dennis Allen people are going to take their victory lap and say, see, I told you so. He never won anything. They fired him. Maybe. But I see a guy that if he makes the right moves and if Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland help him, I believe he can win. And Andrew, the thing that made me the saddest about the Saints getting eliminated is they stomped Philadelphia into the ground. You don't know how Jalen Hurts is going to be when he comes back. Minnesota is the fraudiest frauds that ever frauded, right? San Francisco's got a rookie quarterback who could poop the bed at any time. Like, it's very frustrating that the Saints didn't make the playoffs this year. But the thing is, the quarterback situation in the NFC isn't going to materially change. Like, it's not going to be any better. Like, this NFC South is not going to be any better. The NFC West is not going to be any better quarterback-wise. Like, I still think, like, if the Saints could build a really good roster and get competent quarterbacking, you could have some fun and make a deep run in the NFC. Like, that hasn't changed. Like, if the Saints were in the AFC, Andrew, I'd be like, oh my God, maybe we do need to punt on Dennis Allen because mediocrity ain't getting it done in this conference where they are 7 deep at really good quarterbacks. But in the NFC, I'm like, if he could just be Hazlitt plus, maybe it could be okay.
Well, look, here's the deal. Like, if Dennis Allen is really as bad as some Saints fans would have you believe that he is, then it behooves the Saints and us as fans to want him to stay so that the Saints can go 1-17 next year. And then we get Caleb Williams. Then we can fire him and let the new coach have Caleb Williams. So, look, if you some of these fans, like, you hate him this much, maybe you should let him stay for another year.
Right. And oh, by the way, the thing is, the draft is not just Caleb Williams. They got the quarterback, I forget his name, Duke something from North Carolina. Like, they have 3 or 4 really, really good quarterbacks, better than the 2023 crop, where it's Bryce Young, Will Levis,
CJ Stroud,
and CJ Stroud, and that's it. You know, and honestly, like, those quarterbacks, I like CJ Stroud. Bryce Young is small. Will Levis sucked at Kentucky, but he can throw the ball a mile. Whoop-de-doo, Mike Buck could throw the ball a mile too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Thomas, Kevin,
like Trubisky all over again.
It's right. Kevin didn't find it busy schedule to join us, but he did send a love update. Am I correct, Thomas? He did.
Yes, sir. You are correct.
So we get a Kevin Love update via video. Have we ever done this before? I know he sends game picks.
Once, I think.
All right.
I hope this is happy news.
I hope so too.
We needed a little happy news.
Yeah.
You think I shouldn't cue up the violin?
Yeah.
I know
I'm assuming it won't be happy news.
The violin is always involved.
Let's see if you are right.
Hey, New Year 2023, things are looking up. We'll see.
That's right.
You think so? Okay.
Okay, here's the Kevin Love update. Went on the date with the lady I was telling you all about last week.
Hope he wasn't wearing that thing on his
Met
head.
her on Thursday.
Jesus, what the fuck is that?
We agreed to hang out for New Year's Eve. She came over during the day, hung out, went to dinner. She spent the night. We watched Knives Out, watched a little stand-up, and then we went to breakfast Sunday morning. And yeah, things have gone exceedingly well. And we'll see what happens in the future. So,
Wow.
Bully for me.
Wow. The turntables.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, look, first of all, I'm a little disappointed in Kevin because the first thing we always ask is, have you told her about your wrestling career? Have you told her about the podcast? So, like, the fact that he would not anticipate those 2 questions and answer them for us on the video, I'm disappointed. So that's lame. But you know, I'm happy to hear it went well.
He looks like that
promising. Look, everything's looking up, man. Saints are undefeated. Tulane. Look, and by the way, I was going to say this about Dennis Allen. If the Saints fire Dennis Allen, maybe they should consider like making Brian Kelly and Fritz of Tulane, making them co-head coach.
What's that old time movie? I think it's called like Sunset Boulevard, and like Betty Davis or some old time actress from like 100 years ago is like wearing the head thing that Kevin is wearing. That is freaking horrific.
Yeah, awful.
Like, it's the opposite of the Saints cat trucker hat that you wore. Like, that was awesome. Kevin's beige head, Gloria Swanson, Jason Champagne.
My cat trucker hat with the cat ears was far superior.
Kevin looked like a combination pirate / cancer patient. It
looked like
unnerving.
it looked like a German flag.
It did. It was like he's going to
Thomas, can you put like a screen grab of it back up?
Like Nikolai said, he looked like a pirate. Like he needed an eye patch. Like, I mean,
I'm telling you right now, if that girl he's hanging out with sees the hat, he's donezo.
Yeah,
it's over.
It's done like that. I mean,
here we go. Is that a German flag? Is that what's going on? what is that?
He needs. If my wife saw that, she would say he needs a woman in his life to dress him.
Is he wearing the underwear that he typically wears for wrestling on his head?
It might be like. I mean, that is. I mean, I know people on Twitter tell me I can't make fashion opinions because I don't dress myself. But my God, man, my God.
Yeah, Nikolai's right. The German flag doesn't have any white in it, so I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. So
maybe it's a German flag from the future.
Germany's going to split apart again, and they're. Thomas, so we're going to go from one Kevin video to another because he's got to do...
It's time for this week's hottest take of the week, sponsored by JLD Hot Sauce.
My bad, Ralph. Take it away. I wanted to play
we got to go from
intro.
one Kevin video to another because we got to go... He's got to intro the hot take of the week. So, wasn't Kevin supposed to read it, or am I supposed to read it? I'm confused now.
Yeah, Kevin is supposed to read it. I messed it up. Sorry, guys.
It's time for this week's hottest take of the week, sponsored by JLD Hot Sauce and Knives. Listen. If you want award-winning hot sauces like Bucciolokia or Reaper Madness Special Reserve, go to www.jldsharpsauce.com, enter the promo code Saints Happy Hour, and get 10% off at checkout. They have incredible jellies like palm and pepper. They also have an incredible selection of handmade knives for cooking, hunting, and your outdoor needs. Go check out the zombie-killing quartering cleaver and tell me that it's not the best damn quartering cleaver you ever used in your entire life. You would be lying, and that's perjury in a court of law. Jerry Embler, hello Jerry, is a tremendous supporter of Saints Happy Hour, and you need to support the people that support this award-winning podcast. Go to www.jldsharpsauce.com, promo code Saints Happy Hour, to get the best hot sauces and knives at the best prices anywhere. Again. I know. Go to www.jldsharpsauce.com, use promo code Saints Happy Hour, and get 10% off at checkout. www.jldsharpsauce.com, promo code Saints Happy Hour.
Thomas, how was the hotline this week? Was it joyful? Was people not calling in because it was a holiday? It was New Year's Day.
We didn't get that many calls, but we got a couple long ones for the glorious Jason Champagne. Very long calls to go to become a patron and listen to the uncensored hotline, guys.
Yeah, there you go.
It's time for this week's hottest takes from the Saints Happy Hour Hotline.
I don't know how this game's going to go, but hearing Philly fans boo after the Storm and Mormon crushes their souls 3 plays in a row, I f***ing love it. Philly. Who dat?
Marshawn Eagle-killing Lattimore with another pick. Ooh.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? This is Errol from Uptown NOLA calling from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. My wife and I got to watch the game today at a really cool little sports bar down here they were struggling to keep their NFL Sunday ticket signal afloat. So we missed gaps of the game here and there, but we got to see enough of it to enjoy the win. And the most important part is they kept the booze flowing. Man. the defense looked amazing, right? I mean, at least for like 2.5, 3 quarters. I'm looking forward to seeing Andrew's grades online. I'd like to get his take. I know they kind of like slipped up a few times and allowed a few gash plays, but overall they played pretty well. Very excited. It kind of pisses me off that Tampa pulled off another win. That really sucks. But I think we have a slim window. I hope everything pans out. I'd love this improbable 2022 Saints to make it into the playoffs. That would be pretty fucking amazing. Anyway, who dat?
Hey guys, it's Adam the Radio Boys calling you from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and sweet victory. The Saints beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the most improbable way. The Eagles were number one on the way to go to the NFC, just be the guys, and then the Saints beat them. It's so, as you always say, it's so Saintsy that they beat the Eagles, but their playoff window was slammed shut later on in the day. So it's a bittersweet victory. The season is over. One more game against the Carolina Panthers, which will probably all for naught. But it's a reason for us to hopefully, go off into the off season with some good memories. But, it is what it is. We'll hoot at for life. Happy New Year, guys. Again, appreciate everything you do. Great win. Bittersweet. See what happens in 2023. Take care, guys.
So thanks, guys, for calling into the hotline. We appreciate it. I feel like the hotline, the wins, the last couple of weeks, it hasn't been as fun as it has been, as good as maybe the losses.
Saints need to lose, man.
Oh, stop it! Stop it!
No. We don't want to. We don't mind being a therapy. A free therapy session for people, but we don't want them to lose.
It was bittersweet. It was a bittersweet Sunday, just because.
Because there was a moment.
One, like Tom Brady does his thing, and it's like, oh God.
There was a moment.
Too little, too late. That's the thing.
Well, the thing was, and it would have been, I think, easier if Tampa had come out the gates and just stomped Carolina. There was a moment, Andrew, where you were like, Saints up 13-0 and driving. Carolina up 14-0.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is happening. This unbelievable season. We will get one more week, and everybody in this house will be 7-9. This will be amazing. But Carolina couldn't guard Mike Evans and Sam Darnold.
Here's the deal. We got one more game.
That's right.
I expect you guys to shower me with praise at the end of it and tell me how I'm your favorite of the four of us on the show, that I'm the funniest, that I'm the best looking, that you appreciate all the effort that we've put into this year. And so, make sure everybody calls and says all that. And maybe, make fun of Ralph, make fun of Kevin while you're at it. Insult them.
Yeah.
Oh, we got one caller already, Andrew.
Fuck you, Andre George.
Before we get to the questions and play finger guns, Thomas, give us an MVP update.
Basically no updates. Still Cook Duke in the lead, 2,500 bits.
Yeah. So play finger guns and let's do some questions. I see we have some questions in the chat too. I'm glad the camera is working.
By the way, my dad said that the finger guns on the last podcast was the most offensive thing of the whole show.
It was, because it never happened.
Really
I apologize. And of course, the entire camera thing was my fault because I didn't realize that I had turned off my laptop camera, and that's why I couldn't just switch to it when the better camera that Thomas helped me set up didn't work. If the camera button on my laptop would have been on, I could have just hit a button and gone to the not as nice camera and you could have still seen my crippled eyes, but it didn't happen because I'm incompetent when it comes to electronics. So Thomas, what's the first question we got?
Okay, you know what? Let's just start with the question from the chat from Nikolai. He asks, beat the Panthers and screw up the Philly pick? more, or don't try too hard and potentially have a better second round pick?
Ooh. It's a good question.
I think you try to win the game, right?
Yeah, I mean,
play to win the game.
You play to win the game. I think it's a good question because here's the thing.
The thing in the second round, like, who cares? Like, what we're talking about here, the difference between like 44 and 48.
Yeah.
Like 48, 44 and 49, like, whatever, man. Just win.
You're talking about probably 5 spots. Like, if the Saints win and it falls right, Philadelphia's getting the 15th.
I mean, 5
pick.
spots if it's a difference between like 3 and 8, you know, like, okay, I get it, but like 44 and 49, I mean,
it would be the difference between, I guess, it'd be 47 and 42 would be the difference. Like, no. And here's the thing, like, I just like, if you win the last 4, like, you feel good. Like, you'll feel really good.
I mean, it would be bittersweet, but I would just, I would prefer it because it would be, I don't know. I feel like Dennis Allen needs this win right now.
Nikolai says preventing injuries. That's the main thing. Above winning, above a better draft pick, the thing that you do not want is you do not want serious injury in the game, the season finale, because if you tear a knee, you blow out an Achilles, whatever, you can be screwed and miss the next year, right? So, like, no injuries for either team, right? And here's the thing.
I mean, Taysom Hill, obviously, he ended up playing this whole year and being okay, but like, obviously, the microfracture surgery on his foot, like, that wasn't an ideal situation. Yeah. So, you don't want an injury like that.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, there is a case to be made, Andrew, that the Saints, I still think Steve Wilkes, even though Carolina didn't beat Tampa, I still think if he could beat the Saints, he might have a shot at getting the interim tag removed. If the Saints can beat Carolina really good, they'll fire Steve Wilkes, and it'll put them in the Sean Payton sweepstakes. Look, I don't think he's going to Carolina, but Carolina being seriously in the Sean Payton sweepstakes, as you always have told me, it raises up the price, which is good because we want a better pick or picks. So I think the Saints beating Carolina in a weird way could have draft value for the Saints, if that makes sense.
I'm basing this purely off like memory, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I feel like playing Carolina in a meaningless game in week 17 or 18 is like a yearly tradition.
It is.
I feel ever since weird.
It's ever since they started the last 2 weeks of the year, you play division opponents.
I feel like we always play them last, and like it's always like Carolina has packed it in for the year, and so we always beat them comfortably because they're not even trying.
Yeah. Agree. Agree.
Next question.
Okay, next question and disclaimer. This is an unedited question, guys, from Big. He asks, how is Damian Carr, in parentheses, David Carr, better than Andy Dalton? They seem comparable to me, except that Dalton isn't an eyeliner-wearing, crying wannabe swashbuckler.
That's fair. David Carr is having the worst year of his career. He leads the league in interceptions, and his completion percentage is like at 60%, down like 6-7 points from last year.
Yeah, it's weird that he would have the worst year with Devontae Adams.
They've had injuries. Waller's been out. Hunter
Renfro's been out. Yeah, but still, I mean, look, Adams was brought in, and he looked really miserable against the Saints, if you remember that game. So I don't know what's going on with Carr. Like, if we're going to have this version of Carr, then I'm not interested, obviously. But if he's going to revert back to what he normally does, I do think Carr's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. He's got a big-time arm. He's pretty accurate. He's got a lot of experience. So I tend to be a believer, actually, in Carr. And I would get behind it if the Saints made that move. Yeah. But I would just need, like, I don't know what's going on with him. Like,
his market's going to be his market's going to be bonkers. It's going to be.
I think so too.
I mean,
I think it's going to be like Kirk Cousins, who got the record deal.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it's going to like, because here's the thing: you're going to have teams. You're going to have teams like Carolina with their new coach, or the Colts, or the Saints, or Atlanta, or even Tampa. They're going to be like, all we need is David Carr. Like, he's the missing piece, and even though he's like, as the kids,
you need a chime, Thomas. We need a chime.
As the kids would say, with Derek Carr, he's very mid. But like, some team's going to pay him $35 million.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. It was a thought exercise, and it was like, oh, like, you don't. So I got in a fight with someone about Jameis Winston. They're like, oh, you don't think Jameis Winston's going to start for a team next year? And I'm like, no way. And they're like, name the 32 guys that you think will start next year. So I start going down the list. I name about 20 guys that are starters, and then I name Stroud, and I name Bryce Harris, and I name Levis maybe. And then I start going down the list, and I'm left with like Mike White, and like Heineke.
Yeah.
And I'm left with some names where I'm just like, Jameis has a shot.
Jameis has a shot. Like,
if you go through that exercise of like, name 32 names that you think will start in the NFL next year, like, Carr's going to be high on that list.
Like, if you just
like
do
Matt
the math.
Ryan, like, is he starting somewhere next year?
Do the math. You got 4 teams in the NFC South that want David Carr, theoretically, right? The Colts, that's 5, right? The Jets, that's 6. Washington, that's 7. Am I forgetting it? Maybe in the chat somebody will get it, but
probably more.
But that's 7 of 32. That's 25% of the freaking league.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just
Oz, man. I mean, Houston's taking hair.
Houston's. I think Houston drafting. The Colts will draft. So, like, I think you'll drop it down to, instead of 7, it'll be 4 or 5. But like, it's going to be. The competition for David Carr is going to be fierce. Like, the contract he is going to get is going to take your breath away. Like, you were going to be like, I cannot. The thing is, Andrew, it might even be the Saints. We'll be like, we'll do the breaking news podcast. We'll play the siren. We'll be like, the Saints got David Carr, and then you'll be like, Ralph. I got the numbers from Adam Schefter.
Where's the chime, Thomas?
Man, it's like 5th time in a row, man.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
He's David from now on.
It's at the point where I'm like, is he doing it on purpose?
I'm really not.
Me too, man.
I'm really not. Like,
Ralph can't say anyone's name right.
Sean Payton, we don't respect you anymore.
I like, at this point, that's the only reason I want Derek Carr. So I can live through a season of Ralph stumbling on calling him David Carr all year. I need that.
All year.
I don't even care how the Saints do. Like, the record for the Saints is irrelevant
doesn't even
to me.
matter.
Just the jokes on the podcast. Just for that alone.
The over/under in Vegas for me saying David Carr is off the board. There is no number too high. Just pound the over. From the day the Saints sign Derek Carr, just pound the over because now I'm thinking about it. I remember to say Derek, but when I don't, I just naturally David Carr. That's what I want to. That's what my brain wants to say. So Thomas,
next question.
The next question from Saints Rabbit. He asks, if you could choose one aging player on our current roster and return them to the best season prime next year, who would you choose?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Final answer.
I mean, since you took Michael Thomas, I want to say I was going to say
Badger.
Andy. Ooh. Yeah, that's the one. I was going to say Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton's like playing as good as he's ever played. So, the Honey Badger is the answer, because if you get prime Honey Badger, you're getting like 8 picks. That's, and by the way, that's another reason to be positive about the Saints. Like, they've been okay in one-score games, but their turnover luck, it's got to turn. Like this year of getting 6, if they get 2 interceptions against Carolina.
It's already started to turn.
Yeah. But even if they get 2 interceptions against Carolina, that'll only get them to 7 for the year. Like the turnover fountain is going to flow much more freely in 2023.
Hope so.
Hopefully not for David Carr, though.
Adebo and Alante Taylor got to start catching some balls. I mean, those guys are vaulting into the NCMF Hall of Fame.
Well, no, that's it. We don't have to talk about it in long term that much, Andrew, because I think it's an off-season topic. But what do they do? Like, they can't have this thing of Adebo and Taylor. Neither of them can play the slot. So one of them doesn't play the entire game. Like, that's not really good roster. I know you I want the depth, but like, that's not really great roster management. Like, what are they going to do at corner?
Trade Lattimore for a first?
Yeah, stop. You can't trade Lattimore after he just picked 6 the Eagles.
We'll talk about that.
Well, it's offseason. If you trade Lattimore, I need multiple. I need the Ramsey. I need the full Ramsey that the Jaguars got for Jalen Ramsey. I need that.
They could get that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Next question.
Okay, last question from the chat, guys. Octane DVH asks, first time caller, a long time listener. I'm usually audio only. You two are uglier than I thought. To the question, is Cam Jordan the best defensive player of all time now? If not, who is?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Well, that's a great question because he's past Ricky Jackson. And so I think that's valid. Like, you have to ask yourself, like, now that he is past him on the all-time sack number, does that mean he's past Ricky Jackson in terms of value?
It is. It's a tough question because the defensive players with Ricky Jackson, he doesn't have neither of them really have Ricky Jackson had a 5-sack playoff game. No, Ricky Jackson's still number one. Or Cam, it's like, oh, Cam had a 4-sack playoff game, so he's the guy. I will say this about the reason that Cam Jordan passing Ricky Jackson is so surprising in sacks is, and I will go to my grave saying this, Ricky Jackson is the best linebacker in NFL history after the age of 30. Like, almost 35 or 40% of his sacks are after the age of 30. Like, he was turning in 9 sack seasons for the 49ers at age 37. Like, he was ridiculous post 30. And that's why I thought Cam Jordan would never catch him sack-wise, because I'm like, defensive players, once they get to 30, they don't do what Ricky Jackson did. But Cam Jordan, Andrew, he's kind of done it. I think Cam Jordan might be it. I think he might be the best Saints defensive player ever.
So would you say that Cam Jordan is maybe the second best Saints player of all time? Would you put him behind Breeze as the number 2 greatest Saint of all time?
I mean,
is that in the conversation?
I think it might be, because if it's not Cam, who is it? Is it Morton? Are you going to put a kicker there?
No way.
And you're not putting. I'm not.
Cam's been to the Pro Bowl. See, not
Taysom Hill, man.
Matters.
Come on.
But Cam's been to the Pro Bowl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. He has been first team All Pro once. He has been second team All Pro twice. So that's him.
Yeah.
And then Ricky Jackson, he's had one more year with the Saints than Cam did. But Ricky's had 1, 2, 3, 4. He made the Pro Bowl 6 times, so 1 less than Cam, and he's been AP 3 times. He's 4 times actually. So he's had more than Cam. So I don't know. Actually, it's pretty close. Like, if you look at the numbers, All Pro, Ricky has more. Pro Bowls, Cam has more. Sacks, Cam has a half sack more in 1 less year. So it's pretty close. But yeah, like I just feel like Cam has been a part of more successful teams.
Yeah, I mean,
have won playoff games.
The one thing with Ricky Jackson that just it always will boggle my mind forever. He had 36 and a half sacks from age 33 to 35. At 33, he had 11 and a half. At 34, he had 13 and a half. And at 35, he had 11 and a half.
I think I'm ready to say that Cam Jordan is the greatest Saints defensive player of all time.
I mean, because here's the thing. I think Cam is going to. The thing is, like, he's showing it to us. Like, he's going to aid if he's continues to be blessed and he doesn't have any major injuries. Like, he's going to age well. And here's the thing, Andrew. I know it doesn't seem like it now, but like if Peyton Turner turns it around and becomes good, or the Saints draft somebody really good on the defensive line with the Peyton pick or whatever, and then Cam Jordan can just be like this, like you said earlier in the podcast, if he can just be the second or third best pass rusher on the Saints team, his career could extend longer. Like I think there's a possibility where in the perfect world, the Saints sort of infuse the team with more youth. They figure out quarterback. Dennis Allen is still scheming up a great defense. And we look up and we're like 35, 36-year-old, 37-year-old Cam Jordan is getting like, he's playing like 25 snaps a game, 30 snaps a game or whatever. And he's getting 7-8 sacks a year. How is he doing this at 36, 37? Like, I think that's a real possibility for him. So he may put that sack record for the Saints, Andrew, where it's just like, you're not touching that one ever.
Yeah, I just really hope this cap situation doesn't force the Saints to move on prematurely or just, like Cam needs to end his career with the Saints more so than DeMario Davis or anyone else, like he needs to end his career with the Saints. And yeah, it would be cool to see him age gracefully and put up more stats to kind of not only bolster like his historical numbers with the Saints, but give himself a Hall of Fame. I think he's potentially on a Hall of Fame trajectory. And yeah, we talk. It's funny. Like we talked all the time about like the Mount Rushmore of Saints guys, and I always saw clearly that it was Breeze and Willie Roaf and kind of Ricky Jackson were in that 2-3 slot, kind of battling it out. And it was always like, who's the fourth guy? And you can make an argument for Jari Evans. You can make an argument for Morton Anderson. You can make an argument for Archie Manning. Like we've talked about like who's that fourth guy. And I think Cam is in now. Like I think that Mount Rushmore, like you can't really debate it. Cam is in the top 4. And I would argue, like, has he vaulted ahead of Roaf and Ricky Jackson? Is he number 2 on that list behind Breeze?
He might be. He's probably either two more double-digit sack seasons if he can get the double-digit sacks this year. If he can have 2 more seasons, or if he could have like 3 seasons of 8 or 9, he probably gets into Canton. It won't be first ballot, but he'll get there because then when you just stack up his record, you'll be like, God damn, like that's a lot of sacks. And
the only caveat that I would give is really if by some miracle the Saints were to win a Super Bowl, but if if the Saints did move on from him and he were to go somewhere else and win a Super Bowl, if he won a Super Bowl, I think then it's enough. Like I think the stats he has now, if he gets a Super Bowl title, because they value that a lot. So.
I mean, if he could go somewhere, like if you put him on, like you talking about Philadelphia, you put him on San Francisco, you put him on the Chargers, where he's like the 3rd, 4th best pass rusher, he would thrive because he can
Nikolai, I love Colston. I love Colston. He's probably one of my all-time favorite Saints. He doesn't touch Willie Roaf on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
it's not close, in my opinion.
Cool. People love Colston, but that makes me happy because Colston, the end of the line, Colston was very hard to watch. I'm glad it's come back around and we have warm feelings about Colston.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Colston's the best receiver in Saints history. I still, at this point, I still have him ahead of Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas was heading to be the best receiver in Saints history at like 70 miles an hour 3 years ago, and you're like, it's a done deal. It's just a matter of time, and it's just But
Andrew Speed killed him. Killed the hype train.
So We got game picks. Thomas, go over last week because it wasn't pretty.
Well, this is gonna be a fast one, guys. To sum it up. Each one of you picked the Saints to lose horribly, and you know how it ended.
Wow.
Unfortunately for you guys. Let's see how it looks this week, though.
Does Kevin is putting on an Andrew Juge UDFA adopt his son performance.
Dynasty.
Yeah, it's too bad I don't have 3 points because I feel like Kevin with a 28-3 lead, maybe there would still be a chance.
Maybe you could pull it out. So listen, did Dave even send a pick, Thomas, or no?
He sent it to me during the show, man. After the show started, so I guess we do have Dave's
I
pick.
like to imagine Dave just woke up somewhere in a random dumpster in Dallas, and he's like in a ditch, and he's just like, "We really won that game." So give us Dave's pick to start, Thomas.
Oh, Dave's pick to start. Okay, so
Yeah.
Dave, who do you think Dave picked?
I bet
I
he
don't know.
picked the
I
Saints
feel like
to win.
I think he picked Carolina.
Okay, Andrew, so Ralph is right. Dave picked Panthers to win 20-17 and the third of the game to be Will Lutz.
Ooh.
Okay.
Interesting. It's interesting with the Saints because, listen, we don't know the injury report yet, but if Ramczyk doesn't go, like that Panther defense is pretty good. They struggled to stop the Tampa Bay passing because they didn't have J.C. Horn, and I think they had a safety out too. But like if the Saints, like we saw it, like, and I know Philadelphia's defensive line is really good, but Carolina's is not in that class, but it's pretty good. Like I just worry, like if they don't have Ramczyk, the offensive line becomes problematic.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Guys, give us your picks in the chat, by the way. Ralph forgot to tell you.
I forgot to add. Yeah, give us the picks. So Thomas, play Kevin's pick, and then me and Andrew will go.
Okay, Kevin's pick, you say.
Okay. Saints 23, Panthers 17, star of the game, Will Lutz. I am fully anticipating a Saints Twitter civil war in the offseason, so not only do I think the Saints are going to win, I somehow think the Bucks are going to lose, meaning that they will finish with the same record as the Saints, and we will spend the entire offseason bickering back and forth about what could have been or what should have been and this and that and the other thing. So I think it's going to be maximum chaos for the fan base. So 23-17, Will Lutz is the star. Tomas, lock it in.
You know what, though, Andrew? That's a good point. Like the Saints, they win. Tampa loses. Tampa's going to play their starters. I don't know why. Todd Bowles is just I don't understand him at all. He's like, we're playing the starters. Like, why, dude? You're the 4 seed. Like, why do you care? But that would be so the Saints and Tampa and both end up 8-9. So Saintsy.
Yeah. Nikolai says we would spend all offseason yelling at Mark Ingram if that happens.
Oh my God.
I still can't get over that Ingram thing. Like I'm starting to believe that that's gonna haunt Mark Ingram forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Like just fall down. If you're injured, just fall down, dude.
I almost want us to lose to the Panthers just so that doesn't have to be Mark Ingram's legacy.
No. Yeah, we have. I did this game. I said the Saints are going to win. I was conflicted with my MVP. At first, I was like, Andy Dalton is going to be MVP, and it's going to sort of drive the Jameis people insane. And then they'll say, oh, Jameis never got a chance. And then the other people will be like, Andy Dalton was fine, blah, blah, blah. And that would be a civil war. But no, Andrew, I think what is the most Saintsy outcome, and we'll just twist the knife and add more pain to 2022, Saints 23, Carolina 13, Lattimore gets another pick six. And we're just like, God damn. If we would have had Lattimore all year, we wouldn't have been 8-9. And I just think it's just to twist the knife a little bit more. So it's Marshawn Lattimore.
I like that. All right, I've got the Saints winning this game 17-7. Both touchdowns will be defensive because, as you said, Ramczyk is going to be out. He's going to be injured, and so
that's right.
The Saints' offensive line is going to be a disaster. Andy Dalton's not going to do much, and so Andy Dalton will drive them down for just one field goal, and up 17-0. Dennis Allen's going to be like, "All right, Jameis, fine. You go in.
Oh, no.
You do your thing. Go in the fourth quarter because I'm sick of watching Andy." And Jameis throws a pick six with the Saints up 17-0. And so my star of the game, Ralph, is Dennis Allen because his defense is going to score 2 touchdowns, and then Jameis is going to throw a pick six, and he's going to let everyone know I just won 4 games in a row, and just so you know, Jameis Winston's terrible. I told all of you this.
I showed you.
That's my
I showed you
game.
he's terrible.
Dennis Allen.
Star of the game. My God, you are a sick. That is. I mean, I don't even like that.
Sick people, mentally sick. Sick people. Sick in the head.
I thought about picking Adam Troutman.
Wow.
Player of the game, but
Jesus.
Well, I think here's the thing. Like, I think it's gonna be
finally.
It's gonna be good and bad for the Saints. I think it's gonna be good. They're gonna go 8-9, and they're gonna get Carolina in the Sean Payton sweepstakes, which will drive up the price. So I think that'll be good. The one bad thing is I think the Saints defense, it's been playing, like we said, it's been playing really good for 7-8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I think they're going to just put the whole Carolina, maybe we should bring back Sam Darnold, see what's what in this. The Saints are just going to put that completely to bed. And Carolina's going to be like, no, we are done with you, Sam Darnold. We got to go get a quarterback. And that could be bad for the Saints because if the Carolina would have kept Sam Darnold, that would have been nice. But it's not going to happen. Saints are going to win and get to 8-9. And by the way, they would have finished 5-2, just like the 2021 Saints started 5-2. It's basically the same season in reverse. It's just maddening. It's just maddening all around. I don't know what to say. But thanks. Oh, but Thomas, we got a video. We got a video to play, and you got to give us an MVP update.
We have a video from Badrich, last week's MVP, and this week MVP is officially Cookduk. Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
2,500 bits.
Yeah. Ozman says hopefully next Monday Kevin will have Mach 1.0 ready to go. Yeah.
Ready in the holster.
Kevin doing mock drafts and just knowing random offensive tackles that are on the Bears, or Seattle, it's very disconcerting, and I still don't know how I feel about it.
I love it. I love it so much.
Nikolai says they're Benjamin Buttoning. That's right. They're doing 2021. They're just aging in reverse. So play the video, Thomas, of from the winners and MVP. Butteridge, yes.
First things first, thanks Dave for the awesome hoodie. I got the Cotton Bowl. Well, the Saints season's been something. I'm currently scouting the quarterback for the Saints, future quarterback for 2024. It's going to be something pretty loud, and I can't think right now. But thank you for letting me do this video.
Wow, that
nice.
Butteridge, I appreciate you being a hardcore Saints Happy Hour supporter and doing audio from the 2015 show. I appreciate that. Is
I was just thinking the same thing.
That's the true fan, where he just does the video, he knows the audio is terrible, he's like, but he'll fit right in.
My only disappointment is that you didn't do it behind a dumpster.
That's right.
Because that would have been even more on brand. But that's pretty cool that he did it from the Cotton Bowl.
The good Cotton Bowl.
It's sweet.
I have to say, man, the Cotton Bowl, it looked pretty full, and the Tulane people, like Dave was saying, like, oh, I think it's going to be like 10. Like the Tulane people freaking showed out in that game. Like,
and they looked pumped. Like it was cool just to see them go.
Yeah, like it looked like they had 20,000 Tulane people there. Like the Tulane people freaking like they realized that like it was special. It was a special moment for Tulane, and like Tulane people.
That's one of the best bowl games I've ever watched,
dude. I mean, awesome. like to me, I know people were like, oh, it's fun. LSU wins 63-7. But like for me, like a bowl game, unless it's a playoff, it's basically an exhibition. Like give me what Tulane did, where it's like 1,000 yards of offense, 90 points, and just ridiculousness. Like entertain me. Like LSU, like curb stomping Purdue. Like it was like this is just mean. You're up 40 and you're running trick plays. Like Brian Kelly, you're just
I don't know. Like as much as I love Drew Brees, like I kind of love that he had to suffer through that. I don't know why. Like I don't know why that's like I'm kind of being mean, but like I don't know.
Maybe it made Drew. He got the coaching bug, and he's like, after today, he's like, I never want to coach college kids again. And he calls up Mickey. He's like, Mickey, does DA have something for me on the staff? I'm just saying, maybe it'll work out good for the Saints. Nikolai says, Andrew, do we have any last minute Hamlin updates?
No, I just his agent just said there's no updates at this time.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
nothing else.
Listen, they had something similar, like with what was it? The Denmark guy, Christian Eriksen. Was it? It was at the European Championships where
he collapsed. Yeah,
he collapsed, and he said after he's like, I was dead, and they like brought me back to life. So like.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, shout out to the paramedics and just getting there quickly, and thank God, like, they didn't have defibrillators many years ago, you know, and so like technology has come a long way, and they gave them a fighting chance, right, with that. So that part is really cool just to see the infrastructure being there and people being able to just at a moment's notice
do
jump
it under pressure too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to say that Ozman said teams were 1 out of 1,600 when trailing by 15 with less than 5 minutes to go. Tulane made it 2 out of 1,600. Like that is, I mean, it's basically the opposite of Saints Bucks. Like. This Tulane had to have like 3 or 4 magical things happen for them, and they all did. It's just Willie Fritz after the game was like, I don't know what just happened. Like we won. I don't know. Like I'm just stop talking to me, ESPN reporter. I just want to go back to the hotel and get shit faced. Like
Ralph. This is a pretty cool thing. I'll share real quick. Damar Hamlin started a GoFundMe to purchase toys for children in his community, and the initial goal was to hit 2,500. Tonight. It has garnered more than $1 million in donations.
That's awesome.
Incredible. So like if you're looking for silver lining and just humans caring for others, and you know there's still like good in our humanity out there.
Yeah,
that's a pretty
and I just want to say this, like I have a friend who lives in Buffalo. Like Buffalo has been hit so freaking hard with the weather. I know we talk about hurricanes and the winter in Buffalo, like I want to say the death total is up to like almost 40. Like Buffalo has been hit incredibly hard, and just keep Hamlin and Buffalo in your prayers. I mean, like those people, man, it's been hard, and we're praying for them, and it's good to have positive news on him, because it was as scary as it gets. So
yeah,
guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got one more week of Saints football, and I know it hasn't been the season you want, but Andrew, I always get sad when the season's end, because then we got to go 9 more months without Saints football, and it just makes me sad.
It'll be a fun off season though.
Yeah,
we'll keep it going.
The off season starts on Black Monday. You better believe it. So for Andrew, for Dave, hopefully he's somewhere in Dallas safe and getting sobered up. For Kevin, Thanks for sending in the videos, Kevin. For Thomas, running the show back in Poland, doing an amazing job as always. Thomas helped me get the camera set up tonight. Thomas, we had no trouble with the camera. 2 out of 3 weeks. That's a good batting average. So
that's progress.
He's the best. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Until next week, the bar is closed.